Hello and welcome back to Janny Thermo-Crazy Kitchen. Today I want to take you with me on a trip. So I thought we're going to leave Janny's kitchen behind and we're gonna pack our Thermomix and go traveling on a trip. What we need when we're going on a trip is a suitcase or a luggage. In this case, we're going to use a travel bag for our Thermomix. This way, it will be safe and sound arriving at the point of destination. So, these travel bags are available in our mix shop and they have been designed to protect the machine but also the scales, and as well as having different compartments so we can take all the accessories that we want and love about the Thermomix with us easily. So, watch me packing it. Well, I got a little bit excited there for a moment. Before we actually start packing, we want to put our machine into transportation mode. Okay, so we're going into the menu here on top and we're hopping straight into the settings. And here we need to scroll down a little bit until we see transportation mode. When we click on that, it asks us to lock the bowl and we say activate. So now what happened, the arms have now securely locked the lid and the splash guard, and inside we have the simmering basket and also the measuring cup sitting there. So now it says press the selector to shut down your Thermomix. That's what we want to do. We just press that for about 3 seconds, then we get the message the Thermomix will be shut down. Once it's turned off, we can unplug it from the wall and get it into the bag. Then let's just do like this. So our travel bag has a base which has 3 holes in it. One here, here and here. And that's where the scales, actually the feet, are going to sit. So the machine itself will basically sit on its belly and the feet are going to dangle here in mid-air. That's the idea to protect the scales. All right, so we're going to pop it in this way so we have the round opening facing to the front. And that matches the 3 feet here underneath. All right, so now when I'm moving it back and forth, the scales won't actually be touched, so that's all safe and fine. Now in this bag we do have extra compartments where we can put the spatula in, and also our butterfly, and in the back there's another bag where we do have enough space for our Varoma. Inside the Varoma I also take my blade cover and, if I wanted to, also my stylus pen. So everything goes in here, and I can even take my book, or either the basic cookbook or any other book that I like, and take that with me as well. So strapping it in and closing it. And we're ready to go on our trip. So welcome everyone in my motorhome. And I'm going to unpack the Thermomix now out of its travel bag because we have arrived safe and sound at our new destination. And it's about time we want to cook something up, right? All right, so I got you a little bit closer here to me so you can see what I'm doing. And also just one point I wanted to make is I sometimes get the comment when I do in-home demonstrations that people are saying, oh, but it's so huge. But it doesn't take up a lot of space. So what I want to also prove to you is, well, this kitchen, although maybe quite big for a camping kitchen, but this is all the space that we need. So even if your kitchen is very small at home, you really don't need a lot of bench space to get going. Speaking of get going, let's get going. So what I want to cook here today with you is the vegetable stock paste. Usually we make the veggie stock paste with you at delivery, at the point of delivery, and I can only highlight this recipe so much because that first of all, we're going to use the veggie stock paste in quite a lot of recipes that you can find on Cookie Dough, and it's such a huge money saver when you make your own and you're absolutely in control what's going into your food. So covering a couple of things today with this recipe. So if you haven't had me or your consultant cooking the veggie stock paste with you at point of delivery, then watch this video, and this will be the first time you experience guided cooking all by yourself. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the veggie stock paste recipe. By the way, when you're traveling with your Thermomix and you don't have Wi-Fi connection to Cookie Dough, don't worry, you've got all the 120 basic cookbook recipes pre-programmed already onto your machine. And one of them is the veggie stock paste. So what I'm going to do is I go into my recipes and I can go into saved collections to find the basic cookbook. As you can see, I have saved quite a lot of them, but it's the white one, the basic cookbook, and you got all the recipes in here. So even if you don't have a Wi-Fi connection to Cookie Dough, you have basically saved them onto your machine, and this will stay there until you the 120 will stay there regardless, and the other collections that you have saved, they will disappear if you discontinue with your Cookie Dough subscription. So however, I'm going to go into recently cooked and going to start this recipe from scratch. All right, all we need to do is click on start cooking, as you probably already know, and now it wants us to start weighing in the ingredients. What usually happens, if you click on start, you take the lid off after, and then your scales will go into minus. So always pay attention on the scales that you zero them back first before you start weighing in your ingredients. I do have my ingredients here in my camping kitchen, in my fridge, and when we're going traveling, or it doesn't matter where you are actually, we always have the issue that we do have vegetables. They do not look nice enough for the dinner plate anymore, but this is a great recipe to use up and have no waste and sustainability in your kitchen. Did you know that the most money we can, well, throw out of the window is by not using up the food that we have bought? Okay, so let's get started. And for this recipe, I usually never buy the ingredients. I just use up what's in my kitchen. And so it starts with the celery stalks. And look at these sad friends here. So they are, this is the greens is usually something you wouldn't eat. And they make great stock bases. So, and the sizes of the ingredients that go into the bowl should either, well, as an orientation, I use my silver dial here to see approximately, or alternatively, you could use the diameter of your mixing bowl lid as an indication on how small or big the ingredients should be. All right, so just weighing that in, and don't worry too much about the exact amount, so just use up whatever you have. Everything goes in there, and again, you know, I always say that when I do my cooking demos. These things don't grow in 100-gram batches, so use whatever you have. So I'm at about 150 at the moment, but I have found some leeks. They're not part of the recipe, but I thought, well, they I want to use them up, so I don't know, I've washed them beforehand. And that's also the green bit, the green part of the leek that very often doesn't find any usage in your recipes. So great for veggie stock paste. Keep the white bit for other cookings and the green bit goes into your veggie stock paste. All right, so now I'm a little bit over for my celery stalks. Same with the carrots, all right? Don't peel them, and most importantly, heads and tails, they also go into our veggie stock paste. We don't want to waste anything. Whoops, where did you go? So everything goes in. And as a matter of fact, I want to show you something else. When I do my normal cooking, I cut up the heads and tails from my zucchini, from my carrots, and I keep them in this Ziploc bag here in the freezer. And also what I use, so when the recipe calls for let's say parsley leaves only, then I keep the stalks and they go into my veggie stock paste. So everything can be used, all right? There's nothing wrong with the stalks of a parsley. Okay, just popping it back into the freezer for now. So 2 carrots, I'm gonna have 1 today. Now it says 1 brown onion, halved. And guess what? So brown onion, as you can see, I just put out the really dead skin. But another surprise for you, this one goes in there with skin on as well. Everything goes in. We don't want to waste anything. Nothing wrong with that. Tomato, I found these little sad ones here. They're a bit wrinkly. No one's going to eat them. And this tomato too. So instead of throwing it out or waiting until it's completely dead, I'm going to add that also into my veggie stock paste. Then we have the zucchini. So another one I'll show you. So not so nice for the dinner plate anymore. So it has a couple of these dents and so this is perfect for your veggie stock paste. I just washed it to make sure that it's clean. And again, oops, cutting that into our sizes here, and heads and tails on, everything goes in. We're filling up fast, so now comes the best part, garlic cloves. So we always know, so when we have the garlic heads, there's always there's the nice and the large ones that we use, and we love to peel them. Not really, but we do. But there's also these little ones, all right? And let's be honest, you can't be bothered peeling them too. So I always use them in my veggie stock paste, including skin on and everything. It's all going to be cooked down, don't you worry. Because I love garlic so much, I'm using a handful. So feel free to adjust that to your own taste. All right, now we have dry bay leaves. I have they're semi-dry, so I got them from a friend who has a tree in their garden. And it says 1, I put in 3 because I like it. And now we're coming to the herbs. So now it says fresh basil. I want to show you, especially when you're traveling and you get to buy fresh herbs that you're not using up straight away, then just pop them in the freezer as is, okay? If you thaw them, and they're going to wilt, but if you use them for cooking anyway, it doesn't really matter. So this is my frozen, not so fresh anymore basil, and that just goes in there. And you can make a mixture of fresh and dried ingredients as well, so it doesn't have to be. So instead of the sage, I'm going to use some fresh thyme that I have picked up on the way. And with this one, yeah, I just strip it off. I suppose you could leave, if you have younger sprigs in there, you could also leave them on just like that, because again, it's going to be cooked down. And then we have the rosemary. Again, if you can't find any fresh ones, just use dried ones, that's absolutely okay. And any other herbs that you can find in your garden or that you have put in the freezer as well. So everything is going to get a second life here. Nothing goes to waste. So the parsley, all right, as I said, so I found this one from my garden, but again, you could also just use the ones that the stalks that I have frozen earlier, and since we are there already, I also have found some frozen chives that I'm going to put in there, and some frozen dill, not drill. Oh dear. Okay, so popping that all in, and you can see we are already quite full here, but what we're going to do is we just need to make sure we can still close the lid, so pop that there on top. The machine now asks us to put the measuring cup on. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use my spatula to help the ingredients, pushing them down onto the blades, because what's going to happen next is that we're going to cut that all down a little bit. Okay, so watch this. Clicking on next. And now it's automatically set the timer to 10 seconds, and it asks us here to turn speed selector to speed 6. So that's what I'm going to do. Going to speed 6, and instead of the measuring cup, alright, so I've just used the spatula. So this is designed, it's the only tool that can go through the lid whilst the blades are turning. And yeah, just as I suspected, it looks beautiful, but not quite chopped up the way I wanted it. So I'll give that a couple of extra seconds. And the good news is, in my guided recipes, I can always go back and forth just as often as I need it. Alright, putting the lid back on. I'm going to move the unit a little bit further. So I just go back and next, and just basically repeating the step. Alright, turn it to 6 and there we go. That's that. So, clicking on next. Way better. So now it has basically chopped that all down, and in the step it now says scrape the sides down. I'm going to do that. Just like this. As you can see, it's almost a paste already. Good. So now we can move it back to the middle. And did you see I lifted my Thermomix, never drag it over the surface, just to protect the feet and the scales. So now we're weighing in 150 grams of rock salt. I use pink Himalayan, but that's absolutely to your choice. Don't be afraid about the amount of salt we're using in this recipe. The salt is a preservative for our veggie stock paste. And let's not forget, it's a concentrate that we're making. And you will use that then to make liquid vegetable stock using 1 tablespoon of the paste diluted with 500 ml or half a litre of water. And that will then take away the saltiness. Basically, when you come to think of it, now it says a tablespoon of olive oil. I never measure that, I just go like that. And so the concentrate, as I said, so it's basically similar to a shopboard cube that you can, they can bite. You never bite into them either, would you? They're pretty salty. So that's the same thing here. So you will not taste that raw. Well, you can, but you've been warned. So all I'm going to do now is, so it has set the timer to 20 minutes on 120 degrees, and it asked me to turn the speed selector to 1. That's what I just did. And now it starts cooking. So, have I finished my previous sentence? I'm not sure yet. So I'm still recording. Anyway, I think you get the point. Alright, so whilst this is now cooking for the next 20 minutes, I'll just start cleaning up my kitchen, or maybe have a little bit of beverage sitting outside and enjoying this beautiful day. So, whilst this is cooking, I do have another hot tip for you. and this is about sterilizing the jar that you're going to, well, store your vegetable stock paste in. So here you do have, well, it's about a litre or so, just a jar that you have used in there together with the lid, and you can pop that into your Varoma and have that instead of the measuring cup sitting up there. Have the Varoma sitting in there instead, and let it sterilize the jar. So, and if you have that traveling with you or in your fridge at home, the salt content in here, as I said earlier, is the preservative. And if you always use a clean spoon before you take your veggie stock paste out, you will have fun with this for about 6 months or so. All right, so it lasts really very long. And yeah, just always make sure you use a clean spoon and you sterilize the jar before you're filling it. Can you see how nicely it fits in here, even in the smallest kitchen? Amazing. Here we go. That's the sound the Thermomix makes when it calls us, saying, I'm ready, I'm done with the next step, come and help me. So you can basically, to make that ding-ding noise stop, you can go into settings and adjust the duration and the volume of it. But even better so is you can just touch anywhere on the screen to make it stop, press the dial, or just click on next. All right, so now what we want to do is that, and the instructions are obviously now not on the screen, so we want to take off the Varoma here from the top, where our let me just quickly open it away from it. So where our glass bottle has been sterilized. Oops, be careful, that's hot. So here we go. So that's nicely sterilized. We're just going to pop that aside and let it cool down a little bit before we are going to touch it. And entering back, or putting back in our measuring cup instead. So now we're clicking on next. It says keep the measuring cup inserted. Yep, we've done that. And now we're going to blend it. So what we're going to do with the blending, so you could use the blending mode, but here that it's a universal recipe for all the models. So we just follow the instructions. So the time has been set to a minute, and it wants us to go to speed 5 manually and then slowly increase to speed 9. And don't worry, that's all tried and tested. It won't fly off, nothing will happen. It's a bit scary when you're doing it for the first time, but believe me, it's all completely safe to use. So just watch me. I'm going to turn this one on. So going to speed 5. This is speed 5. As you can hear, it goes slowly up anyway because the ingredients are hot. And you can hear it doesn't go higher, and that's when we increase to speed 9. Okay, that was that. 1 minute, and now it is beautifully blended, and now it says to transfer it into a container. All right, so you're ready to do this, and the way I'm usually doing this, take the ball out, it's a bit easier. So again, be careful when you open up the lid. Obviously the hot steam will come in here, so we do have a little bit of rest on the inside of our lid. I don't want to waste anything, so that's why I'm scraping that carefully back into the bowl. And now, because not only when we're camping, but we love that everything has multiple functionalities. So look at this, I'm using my lid, which is dirty already, as a funnel. So to get my stock paste into the sterilized jar. So I can scrape that a little bit from the side. That's how the paste looks like, and I'm funneling that through my lid straight into the hot jar. And you can see this is about a litre or so worth of that stock concentrate. All right, so feel free to taste it if I dare you. You won't like it if you eat it pure like this, I promise you that much, because as we now have learned, it is very salty. So instead of cleaning my bowl completely, I just leave in there about a tablespoon or so of the ingredient of the mixture, and I'll show you another trick. So putting that all back in there, there we go. All right, so here's my veggie stock paste, and again, because it's very hot, I just leave that sitting in there to have it cool down until it's safe to handle, and I can pop the lid back on there straight away. So what I want to do next is instead of cleaning the bowl, I want to make liquid vegetable stock straight away. And this is your first savings. A litre of vegetable stock usually costs about $4 here in Australia in a packet, and so just by cleaning our bowl we're going to save the first $4. So Thermomix is already starting to pay back for itself. How good is that? So, and the way I do this, I just basically fill up my bowl with water. We do have the scales here, and that's about 1 litre, so I'm going to fill it up with about 1 litre of water. Ignore the dog. It's all part of the camping experience, isn't it? Okay, so that's my water in here. Popping the lid back on, and of course the measuring cup. So putting that back into the machine. Here I say finish. And now I'm going to wash the bowl, and the best way to do that is 7 seconds on speed 7. Easy to remember. And then you can also go 7 seconds speed 7 on reverse, just to make sure we get every little bit out of under the blades. So I'm going to speed 7 now. And on reverse. Did you see you can go into reverse straight away? No need to stop the machine in between. And here we go. Now we have our first litre of liquid vegetable stock, and basically a pre-cleaned bowl and lid. So here we go. This is a great base for soups, or if you want to cook your pasta in it. Here we go. $4 saved straight away with the very first dish that you have made in your Thermomix. How cool is that? If you want to continue with the Thermomix helping you with the cleaning, at this stage you can then also choose the pre-clean mode. So you just swipe to the side and click on pre-clean here. Basically it works the same way. So you fill up your bowl with a litre of water, add a drop or so of your dishwashing liquid to it, and turn it on onto universal, and just then give it a little bit of a swipe with your brush, and you're done and ready to go for the next dish. Depending on what I would cook next, I wouldn't even bother cleaning it any further than it is right now. So if I would make a soup or a risotto or something, I wouldn't bother cleaning it, and just keep going with the recipe. Alright, I want to say thank you very much for watching, and I hope I showed you a couple of things today that you haven't seen before, that you haven't heard before, and yeah, happy mixing, happy cooking. See you next time in Janny Thermo-Crazy Kitchen. Bye! Right, so giving you a behind the scenes of my kitchen here, where just everything happened. And here is the crazy dog who just couldn't shut up whilst I was filming. Oh my god, the fun.